And I experienced that, and obviously going on to year 11 and 12, I remember during the week, that weekend, there was a high, and I felt very close to Jesus. And I just wanted to be close to him. And we didn't have charismatic prayer, we had the same songs, singing like that, and quiet songs, where I found that the beautiful thing about singing or listening to songs is a deep way of praying. If you find the right song that resonates with you, the words can express your prayer in a very deep emotion. So they have a power in their own right. And certain songs, obviously, are just the way they sing. For example, one of the songs, Lord, I Need You, that's a beautiful song. It just draws you in to really express your own thing. You don't have to sing it out if you're not a singer. You can pray within your mind and heart. And that's everyone's got their own charisma, everyone's got their personalities, that's more me. Some people like to speak and sing out loud, that's more them, right? But the point is that it's a very beautiful, powerful way of praying. And I experienced this deep prayer through this group, which is similar to this. And I felt I was able to go deep in my prayer in that time. So I felt this joy of God's presence through the week. But by the end of the week, I was grumpy and sad like everyone else. And I look forward to that meeting again. And it was beautiful because in looking back, I realised it was a very important part of my life, helped my spiritual life. Because it's beautiful going to church, you should go to church, and after that experience, what was beautiful is it made me look forward to going to church, to appreciate the Eucharist, the sacrifice, Jesus' presence in the Eucharist. The whole weekend helped us understand Jesus' presence in the Eucharist, God's love for us, etc. So it really opened my eyes and mind to have a better educated understanding of my faith at that time, in that short period. And so when I went each weekend, so first I looked forward to Mass, and that was a highlight to receive Mass. And the next part was we had the meeting, and our meeting group was after the Mass. Granted, it's always nice to have in the middle of the week, and there's wisdom in having the middle of the week, and I'll tell you more later. But after that Mass, we had the meeting, and I found that when I walked home, the 20-10-minute walk home, I felt just this beautiful closeness to God. It was very beautiful. Like I got to go to school the next day, etc., etc. But those experiences were very profound, very beautiful, it's just this closeness. And just looking back, it was very helpful because it motivates you more to take your faith more seriously. Motivates you more to appreciate that relationship with Jesus is real, and I need to grow in it. Because one thing I learned too is that during the week, we get so consumed with what we're doing. For me as a student, consumed as a student with my studies, my works, my friends, and other things, just the worldliness of life. So by the end of the week, I felt flat, disconnected. And I always look forward to the weekend because I look forward to this experience of being close to Jesus. And granted, I noticed a pattern that every time I went to this, obviously Mass, look forward to Mass, and receive Jesus, and then that prayer group, and I was able to go deep. Then a beautiful quiet time of just going deep, really connecting. And I found there was a lot of time in healing, a lot of healing. I was a very shy person. I had no intention to become a priest, didn't like standing in front of people. And even that prayer group, sometimes they had talks, and they asked me to talk. I never liked giving a talk. If anything, I avoided it. But looking back, right, the Holy Spirit's healing me in areas I didn't know. And it's just beautiful because I felt safe in that group. And it's just a time to pray. And very beautiful, very rewarding, very helpful. And looking back on your journey, seeing how you've got this group, and yours in the middle of the week. And it's very beautiful because, like I said, by the middle of the week, you feel disconnected and you feel flat. And something like this is a beautiful opportunity to pray, the beautiful rosary, adoration, and also as well as the night. And just to pray in song, and some people like to pray in tongues. Just by expressing your love for Jesus. And we all have our own personalities. All different. I don't have to pray the way that person prays, or sing the way that person prays. It comes internally. At the end of the day, it's your intention, your uniqueness, your love for Jesus, and how you express it. And the beautiful thing is, it gives you those different ways of expressing it. At the end of the day, it's enriching yourself, filling yourself with the Holy Spirit, and getting an injection of the love you need to help you cope for the next day and the next day. And it also teaches you, because the Holy Spirit teaches you, gives you words of wisdom, gives you insight, called self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is that when you learn something about yourself and you realise, you know what, I need to change. Jesus, I need to forgive. I need to grow in this area. I need to make more of an effort in certain aspects of my life. And what's helpful, looking back, when you get inspired and motivated by the God and through the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit prompts you, teaches you to be more reflective and more aware of what you do through the day. What you say, what comes out of your mouth, what you look at, what you read. And you become more aware of what's good for you and what's not good for you. What's enriching, what's healthy, and what's not healthy. And that this is the promptings of the Holy Spirit. It helps you grow. And it's part of the healing process. So you should never expect someone just to get the Holy Spirit to get up there and have it all together. When you think about it, Paul the Apostle, when he was touched by Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and he had this beautiful love for Jesus, he had this enthusiasm, he wanted to tell the world about Jesus. But then he realised he knew nothing about Jesus. He just didn't know nothing. He didn't have 3 years experience like the apostles. So the apostles had 3 years being mentoring, being taught personally by Jesus before they went out and preached. Paul had nothing. So he learned, what he did was, after a short period of time, he went and spent 3 years in the desert. Now, I don't know if it's a kind of desert, but a place that was deserted, a place where he had time to reflect, and he wanted to learn and grow. He needed a lot of healing. And then he spent another 10 years where he was more in the community and being involved, but low-key. It was his 30th year when he did missionary work. So you get time to heal, to grow, to understand, but with the Holy Spirit. As this Holy Spirit is growing us and helping us grow in different ways. All of us at different stages in life, and the Holy Spirit is going to prompt us in areas he wants us to do something more. So looking back, as the Holy Spirit's healing me, at 16 years old, when I was 19, the priest prompted me to do something simple as being an acolyte. And I said no, because I don't like standing in front of people. I didn't want to come in and help the priest, because I was very shy and very self-conscious and didn't like it. But what's interesting was that this is how God is kind and He's patient. And it's interesting because I remember that experience where He said, look, just go for the course, do the first 4 weeks, and become a new Christian minister. And it's just something baby steps. He said, go with this person, and then if you feel inspired, you continue. And as I was going, I only had to teach 2 4 weeks, and the guy who was driving me there, he was in my ear, encouraging me to do, finish the course. And because it's an encouragement, it made me finish the course. And it's interesting because, some people need to be pushed a little bit, not too much. And that was God's way of pushing me. And then, sure enough, I finished the course. And sure enough, I remember the first experience of being in front of the people in my church. I was shaking, giving the body of Jesus. And that's how, one, I'm holding Jesus, and two, just the nervousness of it. And just, I saw how God healed me and became more at peace in that. But it was beautiful because for me, it was God's way of wanting me to grow in that area. And I saw His hand. I could give you many other examples. Even becoming a teacher. Before I was a priest, I was a teacher. And I wanted to become a teacher. And what was interesting, God prompted prompted me through Circle in the parish just to be involved in sacramental classes in the parish, just to teach these little kids. And that teaching I started to enjoy. And that was just one way of being in front of groups of people and teaching and sharing the faith. So it was interesting to see how God was preparing me for something greater. But the point is, it's about that relationship with Jesus and finding that consistency and the groups you can pray with that helps, because it can help you be accountable. So going to Mass is obviously paramount. And so we worship as a community. But people get lost in the community, and something about, we should make Mass longer weekends. And people are not used to that. They're just used to coming in, going out, and that's it. Mass has to be the time just really immerse ourselves in the presence of God. The Coptics start, 8 in the morning, they go to midday. They do 3 or 4 hours. Us Catholics, we do 1 hour if we're lucky, in and out, and people complain. So, Mass is supposed to be a time of more immersing ourselves in God's presence, but we don't get that. So, what's beautiful is when you have a prayer group you can go to in the middle of the week, it's a beautiful opportunity to immerse yourself in that. But in saying that, also, take advantage of daily Mass. Just take advantage of daily Mass. And that in itself is important. So take advantage of having your own disciplined prayer time. That's something you learn, what works for you. Some people love the rosary. And pray the rosary, foolproof. Rosary is foolproof. Granted, it's better to say 1 decade slowly and give good quality time than try to rush it. Okay? But it's better than something than nothing, right? So I'm all for the rosary because it's very powerful. But I encourage you, praying slowly, praying is very helpful. Even saying one Hail Mary, even just singing the Hail Mary, that classic Hail Mary song, just singing it. When your mind's so screwed up, I don't want to say screwed up in the negative sense, when you're so tormented, and I've been through that so many times, you're bombarded with evil, negative thoughts, singing the Hail Mary does wonders. Because you try to say it, you can't, because your mind's, whatever that's happening in your head. When you say it, it kind of comes out more clearly. Mary's prayers are powerful. And then I also encourage you to spend quiet time. Quiet time with Jesus. Because quiet times when you can listen to God's prompting, listen to the Holy Spirit, and receive more deeper healing. That was another stage in my life when I was 23, prompted by hearing a person my age. I was very impressed and inspired by how deep this person was, how much he loved Jesus, and how deep, not sort of jealous in a way. I thought, wow, and one thing I learned from him, he started at a young age, when he was in high school, and he started to make little trips before he went home. He sat in the church 10 minutes before he went home, said hello to Jesus, spent 10 minutes, quiet prayer, and went home. And it grew. And I thought, wow, here I was as a teacher, I'm rushing home. I thought, why can't I just drive past my parish church, sit there for some time, and have quality time with Jesus? And I found it very powerful, very healing. And it's going to be hard at first. Sitting still in silence is hard for anybody when you're not used to it, because your mind races 100 miles an hour, everyone. Women also know more than men, because women could do 10 things more than men do, right? But your mind races. So you sit still and just focus on Jesus. You don't have to say anything. Just learning to sit still is spending time on Jesus. If you're my age and older, you watch those Western movies, and you saw how they catch wild horses, they used to catch them, and they force them into one of those horse pens, and they let them run wild. And they let them run wild until they calm down. And they separate them into smaller pens, and they let them run wild until it calms down. When it calms down, then they put what they call a saddle on it, let it run wild until it calms down. And then when it's a bit settled, they might jump on it. And they try and stay on it until it calms down. That's our minds. You have to, it's like breaking in your mind. Our mind's like wild horses. You have to sit still and break yourself in. And it takes time. And I found that. The first time I went there, that time, my mind was racing 100 miles an hour. And I thought it was a waste of time. I thought, well, spending time with Jesus is never a waste of time. Because you're in his presence, he just appreciates you being there. So I did it again. And I found that after a period of time, that 60 minutes of noise in my head became 50 minutes, or 55. There was 5 or 10 minutes of silence. It was phenomenal. It was just my first experience of hitting the sound barrier. When planes hit the sound barrier, there's no noise. It was so quiet. It was phenomenal. And I got addicted to it. And I appreciated and valued more and more to spend time with Jesus. And then you can listen to him better. And that's how he speaks to you. It's another way down the Holy Spirit to really teach you, and help you. So it's all these different beautiful gifts we have in our riches and Catholic faith we can utilize to help us grow in our faith. And the group, as you have this group, it's a beautiful way to come together, be encouraged, and obviously with friends, but praying in that deep way. And what's interesting, we have a lot of young people go to Hillsong on a Sunday night. The reason why they go is because what you're doing here is what they do there. Okay? But the young people want to be with young people. It's a Sunday night. That's their way of giving worship to God. And they sing the songs, and they listen to the songs, and they pray the songs. Very powerful way of praying. Very powerful. So this is something beautiful, unique to this group, that in part of that prayer worship, which is very beautiful and very powerful. So you have all these different ways of praying, and it's enriching your soul and making it part of your routine, part of the rhythm of your life, part of the rhythm of your week. And that's why it's important, mass, crucial. Sunday Mass is fundamental. It's the rhythm of the week. And then anything goes between is bonus. And you should be having your own prayer through the week, just to keep it consistent. Because it's like Australia. I was flying over Australia once from coming home from another country, and I was looking over the country and you see a desert. And I was coming from an experience from another country, it was Cebu. And I was asked to go there with a group of people. And the faith was alive, the faith was rich, it was part of the culture. And I'm flying back home and I'm thinking, Australia's like a desert. No, Australia is almost 90%, 80% desert, whatever it is, but it's like a spiritual desert. You come here and you feel such dry, spiritually. And I found that you have to make your own oasis. You have to find what works for you, make your own oasis to drink from the Holy Spirit, drink from God's love. And you have to make it. You have to go to the oasis and fill yourself with God's love. Fill yourself with the Holy Spirit. Because you're not getting it in society. You're not getting it out there. Okay? They suck you dry. Okay? Because everything's about materialism, about worldliness, about consumerism, and everything else under the sun. Okay? And we get affected. Priests get affected, everyone gets affected. You need to find your own oasis to continually nourish and strengthen your love for Jesus in that way. And that's what this community is doing for you in that way. And it's beautiful to take advantage of that. And find what else you can do through the week that helps, that's helpful. Cannot stress it enough. Everyone, like I said, we all got different ways of praying, ways of community. You don't have to pray the way that person prays. You pray the way you feel comfortable, what draws you, and what the Holy Spirit's prompting you. But be mindful of healing. And we need healing. So don't try to do something prematurely if you haven't been prompted by the Holy Spirit and healed. Don't do things out of guilt. Do things that are prompted by the Holy Spirit or encouraged by people. But always go and do it, for the intention for Jesus. And you can't go wrong.